Welcome to the Nicholas County Board of Education Public Input Board Listening Session and Regular Meeting, Monday, September 18th, 2023. And at this time, if you'll stand and join us for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Please join the board with the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first part of our meeting this evening is a public listening session on the three proposals that we have sent to FEMA, and they required us to have two public listening sessions and a comment period. So at this time, we have 7 people signed up to speak. So anyone, the rules for delegations, I'm going to read them just to clarify. Anyone wishing to be placed on the agenda to address the board, either as an individual or as a member of a group, shall inform the superintendent in writing of desire to do so, and of the topic to be discussed as early as possible, at least 5 days before the meeting. This will permit orderly scheduling of public remarks on the meeting agenda, which is determined at the superintendent's discretion. Any individual desiring to speak before the board may register to address the body 10 minutes prior to the time the meeting is scheduled to commence. Any individual desiring to speak shall state their name, address, phone number, and the group, if any, they represent. The presentation should be brief and state basic facts and information. Each speaker shall have 3 minutes to speak unless there are more than 10 speakers. If there are more than 10 speakers, the number of speakers will be divided into 30-minute maximum time allotted during each regularly scheduled meeting for speakers. The 30 minutes maximum time allotted may be extended by a majority vote of the board. Speakers may offer such objective criticism of school operations and programs as concern them. However, in public session, the board will not hear personal complaints of school personnel nor against any person connected with the school system. Other channels provide for the board consideration and disposition of legitimate complaints involving individuals. So, at this time, yes, also, this is a public listening session, and the board will not respond to anyone's comments, neither will the superintendent. This is just for listening only. Our lawyer will prepare a response to any concern, and that will be made public. So at this time, our first is Lawrence Tully.
That's all right. That's all right.
I wish one. Hang on 1 second until Chris gets back.
Okay.
You just say when.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Well, the timer's not on. Chris just went to get a bottle
Oh,
of water.
that's
He'll be
fine.
right back.
There he is.
Start this.
Sorry.
You ready to start? Sorry. I thought I was doing what I was supposed to do, but I wasn't.
Well,
Well, she told me to hold up.
I wasn't quick enough to say stop.
My name is Lawrence Tully, 1829 Webster Road, 304-872-6890. I appear before the board because if you have followed this mediated agreement, I'm for a middle school only. But I think you should note, Brian Abraham signed your mediated agreement. You're now 70 million short. This is proof positive that the governor does not live up to his word. The governor, from the beginning, stated he hoped there'd be a school in Richmond. But we've got to the mediated agreement. The auditor investigated Richwood. To this day, there has been no prosecution for anything for millions of short dollars, and FEMA has not applied the rule equally because someone in Clay County goes to jail for $10,000. I sense that with the U.S. attorneys delaying this investigation for 2 years, that someone has tried to slow this process down to reach your goal. Now, we're all aware that there's only one voice speaking for everything in Richwood. And I have said from the beginning, I hope Richwood would succeed, not at the cost of the children. The 3 votes are here for you to rule on this one way or the other. If a fraud has not been perpetrated from the U.S. attorney and the governor or the auditor, which one's telling the truth and which one is not? Maybe more than one, maybe all of them. The governor's suggestion, with recent problems with the West Virginia State Police under Jack Chambers, who is a Richwood citizen, to put lie detectors on everyone to get to the bottom of the problem. Gentlemen, I sense that this has been stonewalled and delayed, and anyone in the affirmative to go along with anything other than the original mediated plan is part of a $70 million cover-up. That's fraud. I don't care who did it, and it's against children. Children from Richwood, children from Summersville, children from the whole county. I implore you to consider these things, and I implore FEMA to apply the rule equally, because they will be getting a registered letter from me tomorrow after these comments. And I hope that they have applied this rule equally. Mr. Bean, I hope you're not treated like your
Time's up,
predecessor.
sir. Sorry.
Time's up?
Yes, sir. Okay, next, we have Heather Tully.
That's delegate.
Delegate Heather Tully.
Delegate Heather Tully, 1829 Webster Road, Summersville, West Virginia, 26651, 304-872-6890. I stand here today as the delegate that represents the largest part of North Nicholas County, as well as a grandmother of 5 children that reside here in Nicholas County, 4 of which are public school students, 2 of which attend the pods here in Summersville. This has been absolutely, to look at the proposals brought forth, I don't know how we came to a conclusion that it would be an appropriate decision to consolidate Birch River Elementary, which is one of the most outlying schools in this county, with a longer transportation time with a pre-K through 5. We're also adding in Summersville Elementary, which is the largest elementary school in this county, also with Glade Creek Elementary, which is one of the higher performing schools in this county. The total of those students in those 3 schools, 581. We listened to 260 some odd small schools facts brought forth by the Richwood ICS coordinator, who's also fact related to a member of this board through marriage, about why small schools were good. So if we can't apply that rule and talk about small, we can't consolidate our middle schools and our high schools and promote social maturation and growth and development of those middle school and high school students. How can we expect to consolidate those elementary schools and give those kids any opportunity whatsoever in such a large elementary school? It makes no sense. It's ridiculous. It makes zero sense. I don't care which proposal you go with. It doesn't matter. Your minds are made up anyway. But I'm here to advocate for all of these children, and I feel this board is very remiss if we do not reconsider consolidation of the middle schools and high schools, along with a integrated career and technical education component. There is absolutely no reason why those schools should not be evaluated for consolidation now that we have hit this financial shortfall, which was no fault of the previous superintendent. Nobody could have predicted COVID, but I think you're very remiss if you do not consider it. Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have Libby Casto.
I don't know what I'm supposed to tell. What am I supposed to
Your-
tell? Name and address? That's it. Oh, wait a minute. I was going to say, you know something about me already. Okay, I'm Libby Casto, from Libby Casto, 653 Bottle Tank Road, Craigsville, West Virginia. I'm a native of Richwood, at the old Nicholas County High School. In fact, in the old Maine, when I was much younger, I taught 10 years at Somersville Junior High and 19 years at Richwood Junior High, where I retired. You might wonder why a retired teacher like me has an opinion, like one has an opinion about the location of schools here. You might think, what dog do I have in the hunt? Is that the right way to say that? I'm never sure. But thank goodness it's no fight, hopefully. It's just an effort to have the best school locations possible for our children and our teachers. Well, I do have a puppy in the fight since our 6-year-old granddaughter attends Somersville Elementary and loves school. The teachers' administration over there at Somersville Elementary have taken care of that building for so long. And I've heard that after a certain number of years and improvement needs, old schools must be replaced. My opinion about the new school rebuilding and new grade school and Somersville Middle School, my opinion is that they have separate buildings but close together. I think this would give both schools autonomy and separate administrations to take care of their distinct age groups and students. It's exciting to imagine new schools for our granddaughter and the county's children all over, and I look forward, of course, to what the answer will be, and I appreciate your listening to my opinions.
Okay, next we have Courtney Martin.
Courtney Martin, 1312 Webster Road, Summersville, 304-619-3699. Good afternoon, everyone. Superintendent Beam, members of the board and the community. My name, as I said, is Courtney Martin, and I am in my 6th year as a teacher at Summersville Elementary School, and I'm here to speak as to why I am in favor of us having a new school. I feel I bring a unique perspective to this conversation. I'm also a mother of 2 children at SES, and I was a teacher at Summersville Middle School when the flood hit. So I've been in all of it. I can promise you that the staff at Summersville Elementary School is not looking for a Taj Mahal. However, there are a plethora of issues that are plaguing our building that have us in desperate need of a new one. If you've walked through our hallways, you've seen the cracks in the floor. You might have even seen the sunlight streaming through the cinder block walls because there are cracks in the cinder block walls. If you've tried to call the school recently, you may have had some issues because our phone lines have been down. We've been told by the phone company that it's not their issue. It's an issue with the wiring in the school. It's been checked and it's been rechecked, and we just can't get it fixed. Our maintenance crew is needed to fix our outside doors multiple times during the school year because they won't lock. Those 2 issues in and of themselves are safety hazards for our staff and our students. Drainage and plumbing, if you have been in front of our school during a rainstorm, there are puddles that could just swallow your car. Like I said, our maintenance crews do a wonderful job coming to our school and trying to fix our problems, but patch jobs just don't work. We need a new building. We also lack reliable heat and air conditioning. There was a situation last year where we didn't have heat, but if you plug in space heaters, it flips the breakers. This school is just, it's extremely old and it needs replaced. I would challenge you to ask anybody who has worked in our building for any amount of time how many sinus infections they've had or breathing issues. You could probably talk to parents of students about that issue as well. And perhaps most importantly, our building is not very accessible for our handicapped students and our students with physical disabilities. We have several sets of stairs, most notably going down to the cafeteria. To get to the cafeteria, if you are handicapped or physically disabled, you have to go down a lift for one set of stairs and then take the elevator, which requires adult assistance. And it a lot of times pulled our custodian from her work because she's the only one available to run the lift or to run the elevator. And it also separates students from their peers to get to the cafeteria for breakfast and lunch. And if I'm not mistaken, Summersville Elementary was on the plan for a new school before the flood of 2016. So I am, speaks to those of us that are in the building every single day, speak to the parents of our students. They will tell you what our kids need.
Okay, next we have Elizabeth Kaufman.
My name is Elizabeth Kaufman. I reside at 100 Memory Lane, George River, West Virginia, 26610. Telephone number is 384-649-5931. And I'm here to support the building of a high school, middle school complex at Glade Creek. Regardless if the high school was flooded or not, the monies obtained were for a comprehensive high school and middle school on that site. You agreed that most of the fields up there, to most of them, but I wonder why you would want all those fields for just the middle school. If the schools are not started soon, the cost of inflation and redesigns are going to be so that there may only be enough money to build a middle school with that. What a shame that is with all the money that was obtained. A complete redesign only kick the start of the construction further down the road. The quickest way, I feel, would be to go ahead and build a traditional high school, middle school under one roof. The middle school design is all but complete, and the high school would need to be cut back to a traditional school. You say you don't have the money. Well, I don't know how much you're talking about. As of late this past May, the board had over $18 million in their coffers. I know the previous board had planned to put a lot of that towards the schools. You say we need an elementary school, and I agree. That was in the plan to move into the current high school with an upgrade just like Cherry River Elementary. Also, the stadium at the park is approaching 50 years old. And it just got returfed. It looks really good, but its life expectancy, I don't think will last what it is expected because of all the sports teams that are there to use it. Summersville is blessed to have a lot of different children that participate in sports because it keeps them busy and keeps them off the streets. But having both schools at Glade Creek will eliminate a lot of busing to the fields as well as cost savings with parking rental. I don't know if everybody knows that we have to pay to park at the stadium. I'm afraid that some of the things you're proposing is just a Band-Aid on some of the problems that we have. And I think that where this is an opportunity, I've heard from numerous people, even educators, who want to have the high school, middle school complex, but they're afraid to speak up because of the backlash. Also, in regards to Birch River, the previous board, we had to sit and listen to public outcry over busing the high school kids 45 minutes down to Glade Creek whenever this current board's wanting to bus our students, little students, an hour and 15 minutes to Glade Creek to the site for their elementary school. I just think that I I just wonder if this board wants to be remembered as the board, the cost of Nicholas County, a high school, middle school complex down the road. I don't know not. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Shiloh Lusk.
Shiloh Lusk, 401 Beam Road, Mount Lookout, 304-689-0222. Ladies and gentlemen of the board and fellow community members, my name is Shiloh Lusk, and I stand before you today as a proud West Virginia teacher and as a representative of Nicholas County High School, a school who is deeply committed to the education and well-being of our students. Today, I urge you to reconsider the proposed plans for the new high school and instead prioritize the construction of a new elementary and middle school at the Clay Creek site. The middle school in our community suffered a devastating flood, while the high school remains untouched by the natural disaster. It is our moral duty to address this urgent need by providing our middle and elementary school students with a safe, modern learning environment. As we deliberate the future of our educational infrastructure, it's important to address logistical challenges that building a new high school would bring. Our high school, located where it is, has functioned effectively since 1979, and the logistics have been finely tuned to accommodate the needs of our students and our staff. Teachers have voiced their concern about how these issues will not be adequately addressed in the proposed plans, including that, but not limited to, auditorium size, location and functionality of sports facilities, appropriate regards to special education rooms, and a faulty curriculum. I want to make one thing crystal clear. Our current high school does not need replacement. Our high school is not broken. It is a source of pride for our community. We have an incredible, highly educated staff who've dedicated their lives to educating our children. They have never wavered in their commitment to excellence. And although we were consulted, our voices were pushed aside when many of us raised our concerns in the infrastructure and the curriculum of the new facility. Our high school teachers and staff, as a united force, stand in solidarity with the construction of a new elementary and middle school. Furthermore, our custodial staff, our unsung heroes, have taken exceptional care of our current facility. They have ensured our classrooms are clean, they are safe, and they are conducive to learning. Their dedication and hard work deserve our utmost respect and gratitude. I would like to emphasize that we, the high school teachers, are not opposed to the progress or improvements in our educational facilities. We look forward to working collaboratively with all of you, with the new board members. We hope to explore innovative ways to enhance our current facility. We believe that by working together, we can find solutions to these challenges and ensure that our high school continues to provide a top-notch education to our students. In closing, I urge the board to prioritize the construction of a new elementary and a new middle school while allowing our high school to remain where it is. Let us come together as a community to find creative solutions to improve our current facility and create an environment where our students can thrive. We look forward to working with the new board members in this endeavor and keeping the best interest of our students at the forefront of these efforts.
Last, we have Devin Spinks.
Devin Spinks, 101 Fernbush Drive, Nettie, 304-619-6082. Good afternoon. My name is Devin Spinks, and I am a teacher at Summersville Middle. I also represent the staff of Summersville Middle School. While I've only been in my position a year, I can see the liveliness of our student body. However, in our pods, what my colleagues and students have called home for the last 7 years, the school spirit is not as positive as it would be in a brick and mortar building. I want each of you to look back at your favorite memories from middle and high school. When I look back, I think of the times chatting with my friends in the hallway at my locker between classes and hosting pep rallies in a gym we could call our own. My students and many others countywide will not have these memories, as few members of our community continue to delay the construction of our new schools. In my conservative estimates, 1,050 students from SMS alone go without these experiences. 1,050 students. It is time we put these issues to the side and get to building our schools. Further, it is important for our board and our community to recognize our pods were only designed for 3 years of use. Teachers moved into our pods in January of 2017, meaning construction should have been complete of our buildings by fall of 2020. Due to the extended usage of these buildings, there are a few structural concerns at SMS. Several of our classroom windows leak. Flooring in our kitchen space has been replaced twice and is in need of a third replacement. The stove has historically been too heavy and has fallen through the floor. Additionally, our kitchen roof is leaking, causing delays in student lunches. And in many classrooms, mine included, have soft spots in the floor from this pod sinking. Further, the auxiliary gym has sound magnification issues, which need to be addressed. For far too long, we've had folks trying to build a legacy on this decision instead of having what is best for our students and our educators in Nicholas County in mind. Summersville Middle has remained quiet, but today that changes. We want a building for our students. We must stop delaying the construction of these schools. My students, my colleagues, and my community deserve better. It is time to move forward. It is time to start building Summersville Middle School. And remember, the 1,050 students who have gone without these positive memories due to some adults' inability to compromise and move forward. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, our public input session will be over, and we will start our regular board meeting. So the approval of the agenda, anybody have any issues with the approval of the agenda?
The only thing that will be updated on the agenda is personnel issues, and Ms. Weitzer will get to that when we get to personnel.
Okay.
As far as a copy of the transcript. And each report.
There's not a huge rush. Next week. Okay.
All right.
Just one minute.
Okay. Number 5, approval of the minutes of meetings held on September 5th, 2023. And
And you corrected the Roy Green.
you corrected the Roy Green and
It was.
Mr. Berry's note.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you catch the Roy Green?
No, I missed it.
It's supposed to be Rick Green, and I put Roy Green.
Yeah, that was a compliment.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the meetings on September 5th, 2023?
I so moved.
Okay, Mr. Moose makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Green seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Superintendent's information.
We always start with our construction updates. We visited the Glade Creek site last Tuesday. That was actually the first time that I'd been on that site. It's a very impressive piece of property. There's a lot of construction going on. There's a lot of dirt being moved around, and so it's good to see. I've asked Chris Hanshaw to update the board a little bit, and we did talk in our meeting today, our Secaucus meeting, with ZMM about this, so they're not getting blindsided with this topic. We want to talk a bit about the fencing issue that we have out there and how we're going to proceed with that.
Yeah, so right now Mr. M&H has the contract to, there's fencing that closes off the front and it basically blocks off the roads to the side to keep people off there. When their contract comes to a close, we really don't want the public or people to get on there and be able to, tear up what's been done. So we feel it's in the best interest of the board, for liability reasons and site safety, to keep that fence. So we have to look at who's going to take over the payment for that fence, and we're looking at what would be best for the board legally and financially, of course. Should we try to take over that? Because that's going to have to be maintained through the rest of the site, through the whole building process. Or we may have to try to place it under professional services. Because with 2 CFR, if anything's over $2,500, then typically you have to bid that out. So if we can place it under another professional services for the same price, we would kind of rather do that to keep from going through that whole big process again. So between that and we're also going to have to maintain the EPA, the runoff and all that has to be maintained as well. We're getting quotes and trying to see if we can lump that in the contract as well to keep all that in compliance.
And Dave Ferguson, who's our architect from ZMM, is also here. Dave, would you like to say anything about this?
The special sediment control measures have to stay in place, and those have to be maintained every so many days by contract, by someone qualified to do that. And we're getting prices from the contractor to do that for you all. And then, of course, the fence. We'd like to keep the fence because if we don't, somebody's going to tear up the building pad. That's happened before on sites, and if you don't want to tear up any work, we've accomplished, especially over the winter if it's going to have snow on it. A lot of wet conditions.
Sediment control is a pretty big process. Actually, you have to inspect the whole property every 4 days or inspect it after I think it's a 1/4 inch of rainfall. So it could be a lot and it could be a little, but somebody's going to have to go around the property at least, probably 7-8 times a month minimum.
And if we don't keep it, the board can get fined by DEP. That's the bigger issue.
Will that have to be rebid, or will the contractors that are there now be able to take care of it?
We're looking at trying to continue the current ones to take care of it until the next contract's in place.
So would they hopefully they leave that fence up?
Yes.
I've talked to the fencing company, if they are willing to leave the fence, and if we financially can do it without having to bid, we have to make sure we're completely compliant, then we could pay like a 50% setup fee and then just take over the monthly payments. That's what we're trying to do. It's all leased anyways. So I'm just waiting on a quote. I messaged them today because they were supposed to give me a quote last week.
Thank you, guys. The next thing on our construction updates, of course, we do have the 3 options out on comment right now on a survey. We've received 49 responses so far, and they're varying. Some are just simply saying, I vote, I want A, I want B, I want C. Some of them are writing more comments than others. But that survey comes down on September 30th, and as a board, they cannot act on making a recommendation on which selection to make until that 30-day comment period ends. So anticipate something happening in October as far as an announcement goes, and there's a possibility there may be a work session with the board members to discuss all the options, go over the survey results before coming up to a decision. The next topic on my agenda, I want to give a shout out to a student at Richard High School. I wanted to actually try to call her today or go see her, and it's just been one of these swampy days. But Bailey Jarrett, if any of you saw the news this weekend, Eyewitness News was up here on Friday or Thursday, one of these days, I think it was Thursday, and did an interview with me, and they wanted to go out to the pods at Summersville Middle School. Then when they went out there, they called me and they wanted to come back and go to Ridgewood High School and Ridgewood Middle School, which they did. And they asked if it would be okay if they interviewed students. I said, well, sure. So Bailey Jarrett was the high school senior at Ridgewood High School who was interviewed, and she did an excellent job. I mean, if anybody saw it, you can you know, they can be really proud of the way that she presented herself and as composed as she was and as informational as she was. So I want to give a shout out to Bailey Jarrett from Richmond High School. Next on my list, Alan Stump is here to address a discussion about the high school football field, the track at the high school football field. So, Alan?
We're talking about Richwood?
Yes.
Okay.
Issues we're having.
Okay. Couple issues we're having over at Dean Memorial Field. We're having some lighting issues. Anyone that's attended a Friday night or a Thursday night ball game, you've probably been aware. I think this is an issue that's been coming for several years now. We were kind of had some issues last year, and I started kind of putting together some. Is this the issue we're going to talk about? I've got a couple issues over there. But we are having some lighting issues, so I am working on getting some quotes on that. Also, we're looking at, in addition to trying to do maybe a light upgrade, probably trying to replace those poles for the lights. I am running into some roadblocks with that, but I'm trying to seek some expert advice on setting those poles. Those poles have been there for a very long time. I believe they're the original poles. One of the issues we're having is one of the poles is set up behind the visitor bleachers. Those bleachers weren't there when those poles went in, and so we're having a tough time finding somebody that can set that pole there without using a huge lift that would go up onto the track. Take a huge lift up onto the track, that's going to destroy the track. So we're looking for answers right now, and I just wanted to kind of make you all aware of kind of that process we're going through. Right now it's mostly just gathering information, but it's my opinion that we're going to have something done this spring or summer before. We're going to be at that field for a while, so it's my opinion we're going to have to get that fixed as soon as possible. You want me to address the
Before you move on, Alan, sure. What is the specific problem with the poles themselves? They have to be completely replaced because of safety hazard? Or?
If you look at them, and we haven't had them fully tested, that's something we're going to do. But they are old, and they're currently wooden. And I think wood's fine. It's going to be the cheaper option, even if we replace them. But if you look at them, they have a pretty good lean to them.
But the lights, okay, it's the lean, and the lights themselves are functional.
The lights are really, so the lights are the real problem. The lights, if I haven't been up there to look at them, I hope I don't have to go up there and look at them personally. Our electrician's been up there. We actually have a lift coming in on the 25th. We're going to try to make as many repairs to them as possible, and just keep them up and going through this season and get us through this school year. But a lot of the wiring is starting to kind of deteriorate and come apart. The wiring is all original wiring, and it's just kind of starting to come undone. I guess the last game we had, we actually had some lights that went out and had some pretty significant sparking, and it's kind of concerning. And so the lights, that was the initial thing that we wanted to look at to replace. But if we're going to put brand new lights up, I would hate to put them up on poles that may not be up to standard. So that's it. Anyone else have any questions or comments about the field that I could address?
Is that the power bill on those lights? I mean, those are old lights, so they're drawing a lot of power, right?
I'm not sure. I have not looked at it, but what we're looking at is trying to replace it with LED.
Which would be a lot.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, the first quote I got just to replace the lights, not all the lights with LED lighting, not talking about poles or anything like that, it's around $30,000. So we do have that. We do have that in that facility. funding over there. The poles, I have not been able to get a narrowed down quote on those yet. I've had a couple people look at the poles, and I'm still waiting to hear back on about some quotes on those.
Can they come through the lumber mill and get to that?
So yes and no, they can't get to that one behind the visitors bleacher. It's tricky because you can't reach it from anywhere, any direction you go. We do go through the lumber yard. When we work on the lights behind the press box, we actually work on those from the lumber yard. So we go into the lumber yard and we reach over that way. But that visitor section, that one's going to be the tricky one. I've talked to a couple electric companies that set poles, and I'm waiting to hear back from one guy. He's supposed to go over there and look. He says he has a special machine that will set those and can get them in tight spaces. That's what he told me in person, but he hasn't got back to me yet, so I'm anxiously awaiting to hear back from him.
They can do a lot of things, and I know there's a couple of local companies that actually can do it by helicopter.
Well, that was the thought I had. Every time I've mentioned that to people that I've talked to about it, they talk about the expense of it.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be expensive.
I've actually heard, I've had a couple people suggest that maybe we talk to the National Guard. They do some training exercises. Maybe we could talk them into making that part of their training exercise. I don't know. But it's something that's going to have to be addressed, and we're just trying to kind of come up with a creative way and a logical way to do it efficiently and safely. The second part of the Richwood Fields, and just kind of for you all to be thinking about, is I had asked Mr. Bean, I guess it was sometime last week. This year is kind of going, it's kind of been a blur, but we were talking about the walking trail over there, and so I had approached him for some guidance on what to do. There are a lot of community members in Richwood that I've heard that are using the walking trail that's right there by the field quite a bit. One of the complaints I've heard is that there's a lot of trash being left there. So what my question is, do we need to? I'm just trying to look to see if how much do we want to put into this? I know there was some discussion as far as donating that, or whether we're going to donate that or keep it. If we're going to keep it, there's probably a few things we need to do as far as putting up some trash receptacles, and those aren't cheap. And so trash receptacles, and then obviously if we want to keep it, we want to protect it. So talking about putting barriers up around the track so that people aren't driving on it and running over the trees and bushes and the track itself. And so I'm just kind of looking for some guidance. I want to maintain what we have, and so I'm just not sure how much we want to invest in something that's we may or may not keep. And I've heard some suggestions on how we could possibly block that off. But I hate to do anything without knowing what we're going to do with it.
Why have Tony Stone want to block it off big rocks?
I know that's not going to be the thing we talk about necessarily this evening, but just in the future, that would be helpful.
Well, one of the issues there is that plaza reverts back to the lease is up in about 10 years. So that reverts back to the owners. And if they would stop the parking there, if they would not allow people to park there,
then there's gonna be a major parking issue. That would be the only reason I see that we want to keep that. So,
Well, a lot of the practice teams use that too.
Yes.
A lot of the practice teams practice on that.
Well,
Keep
does
anyway.
I think the Little Jacks use that area. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure. I don't think the middle school and high school use it. They have the main field, and then we also have the practice field out there that they share. But Little Jacks definitely use it. There would be, I think, I will say this, and some people may disagree with this. One worry I would have is if we do give it away, that's still in our backyard, and so it's less work for us to have to if we don't have to maintain it, that's great. That frees us up for other things. However, I'm concerned about whether or not somebody else would maintain it, and then it would still. I don't want it to become an eyesore for us either, even if it's not ours.
Well, I wanted Alan to bring these two topics up to the board, not for any discussion or any decisions in any way, but just make you aware of them for a future board meeting for us to maybe put it on the agenda and discuss what we want to do. But thanks a lot, appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Some time lease talk. Somebody, well, that lease is actually going to be up in 10 years, or, is that part of what might not be there?
I know.
So,
Alan, when do you think you'll have the quotes on the lighting?
I have the quotes on just the lighting.
On the pole,
Yeah, on the pole.
what you want to do.
The sooner the better. I have a couple people that are supposed to be getting me quotes on it, and it's just a matter of waiting.
Well, just know the next board meeting's in a couple of weeks. If you want to get them on the agenda.
Okay. I can try to speed that up.
Here's some arms, whatever it
Is
is.
that all the lights or just a few of the lights?
That's all.
All of
We replace all of them.
Yeah, you go to LED. If you're going to go, you got to go.
Yeah,
all the way.
if we're going to do it, we might as well do it.
the 30,000, does that include the wiring?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think we had.
That was everything but the poles.
We had scheduled to put LEDs before the flood in all the schools and the fields and stuff, and that.
Well, they've proven to be more efficient.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're more upfront costs, but they're definitely more efficient.
That 30,000 is LED, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I did not get quotes on the other. I don't think anybody's going the other direction, so I just went LED. I just got a quote on LED.
Thank you. Last item on my list is Tom Bayless is here from the Career Technical School, and he has some recognitions to do this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bean, and thank you, Board. A few weeks ago, or a few months ago, Mr. Prine asked me if we had recognized our students that participated in national skills. So that's what we want to do tonight, and we appreciate you giving us just a few minutes to recognize these really hardworking students. I think year after year, this program has grown just bigger and bigger. And I believe last year was our most successful year we've ever had. And that's mainly because we have two of the best skills advisors anyone can ask for. That's Mandy Kessler and Mark Odell. So if you guys would come up here, please. They're not only great advisors, great teachers, but they're also just great role models for our students. They spend just countless hours and volunteer all kinds of time for these kids with fundraisers and different things. So Mark, I think, will talk to us a little bit about skills and recognize our students.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank Mr. Bean, Superintendent, for recognizing these students. Mr. Prine, the board members, tell you what a great bunch of students. Also want to thank Mr. Bayless. In order for us to be successful, we have to have a lot of resources, and he makes sure that we get those as best he can. I've said this several times. He don't say no often, but occasionally he has to, I guess. But I really want to thank these students. Thank them for their dedication to their education. and dedication to their trade, and I think I speak for all the instructors at the Career Center. It makes it worthwhile for us, to see them be successful, so thank you guys. But there's probably some of you in here that's never heard of Skills USA, so I'm going to give you a very brief description of it. It's a CTSO, Career and Technical Student Organization. It was formerly called VICA. It was formed in 1965. Actually, when I went to the Career Center, I graduated in '85. It was called VICA back then, and that was Vocational Industrial Clubs of America. They changed the name, I think, in the mid-90s sometime. But Skills USA is a student-led partnership of education and industry that are helping to build a future skilled workforce that our nation so much depends on. But graduates who are career-ready on day one. The mission of Skills USA is to empower students to become skilled professionals, career-ready leaders, and responsible community leaders. So it's I want to explain these competitions to you just a little bit. We just don't pick someone to go. First of all, they have to join Skills USA and be a member. But second, they have to prepare themselves, which is a ton of work. And then we have a local competition, have it there at the Career Center. That's where it all starts. They compete against each other, against their peers, and that will decide who goes to the state competition and competes at the state level. Then they'll go to the state level, which is held, it's based out of Fairmont or Fairmont State University, but it's in and around Bridgeport and Clarksburg. Goes as far north as Morgantown, all the competitions. So I think there's 140 different competitions that are available through Skills USA. I don't know as the state of West Virginia does that many, and then in order to go to nationals, you have to be a state champion. And we have 8 of those here with us tonight. And again, I can't express how proud I am of all these students. And another thing I want to mention too is we don't judge it. We don't set up the competitions, and not at the state level, we do it at the local level, obviously, but these are set up by industry folks. People from industry set them up, run them, and judge them. So they get a lot of exposure to different industries, whatever skill set they're in. So without any further to do here, I'm going to start with the TeamWorks team. Y'all just sit still till I call you up. The TeamWorks team is actually my group. TeamWorks is a group of 4 individuals, and it covers masonry, plumbing, carpentry, and electrical. So I've got an individual that does each part, but they have to work together as a team in order to complete this project. And some of these projects, especially at the national level, are pretty in depth. And I hate it for these guys when we go to nationals. They don't have a whole lot of fun. All they do is work. They don't have time to have a whole lot of fun. But man, do they work. So I'll start with Tyler Nugent, or Wynn. You'll come up, Tyler. Tyler is my masonry specialist. Next is Jack Chapman. Jack is our, where do you want that, over here? I assume. Jack is our plumber. Brady McGraw, he's our carpentry specialist. And Landon Ball, he's our electrician. This is the TeamWorks team. This past year was the second year that they were state champions, were able to go to the Nationals event, and they finished 15th in the nation. And keep in mind, all these competitions, there's 50 states in the United States, obviously. So, and actually, I think the Virgin Islands and maybe Puerto Rico, actually send students up there as well. So 15th in the nation, I'll take that any day of the week. All right, so now, next is welding. Tucker Johnson, if you can come on up. I'll talk about Tucker just a little bit. Tucker competed in the individual welding competition, and because of his performance at National, Tucker was selected as a finalist to potentially represent the U.S. in the 2024 World Skills USA competition in Lyon, France. So, pretty big deal. He is currently, they picked, I think, 24th, and he's currently in the top 13. They sent away some projects or work that they've done last week, and probably next week he'll know if he makes the top 10 or not. So be rooting for him. So, and I'll tell you another big deal about that is the world competition. They only have every 4 years. So a lot of the students that he's competing against are trying, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but are post-secondary students who have already graduated due to that 4-year time space in there. So, all right, let's move on. Next we have Morgan Boggs. Morgan, if you'd come forward. Morgan competed in nurse assisting skills. She finished 5th in the nation.
Wow.
So that's pretty awesome. Like I say, out of about 50, more than likely. So I got one thing here at the end. When I get done, I want to add to all that. Next, we have Bailey Jarrett, which couldn't be with us because she had other commitments to cross country. She's on the cross country team, but like you said earlier, she's a good one for sure. But she competed in job interview and placed 15th in the nation. During National, she was also nominated by her peers to serve as the West Virginia State Skills USA Vice President. So that's pretty awesome for Bailey. And last, she could not be here as well as Coey Cox. I'm sorry. She competed for a second year at the national level in medical math and placed 20th in the Nationals and was nominated to serve as this year's West Virginia State Skills USA President. So we have the President and the Vice President for the state of West Virginia. And one thing, like I say, I wanted to add there at the end. Last year they competed as juniors. So, hopefully they'll get to go back this year. And, that's one point I want to make. That's what I tell my guys all the time. Don't look past states. You got to be a state champion in order to get to go to nationals. But very proud of you guys. Very proud.
So Tom, man, I just need to say.
That's okay, I'll let him do all the talking, I do the paperwork.
How about Mr. Lemon back there?
Stand in the way, Mr. Lemon.
Mr. Lemon was also our 2023 State Skills Advisor of the Year.
Good job.
Is there any significance to the red blazers? I love them. Or is that something the high school chose, or everybody in Skill USA, is that?
No, this is the official dress.
Official dress for the
Skills
Skill
USA. Yeah. You go to any of the award ceremonies, this is not an option.
Yeah, I went to Craigsville when the governor came in, I noticed, you were in the red blazers, when he recognized you this not too long ago.
One thing I'll mention too while we're here, like I say, we have a local competition. The date, I think the date's on there if you don't care. Yeah, our local competition is February 15th, and then the state competition is March 22nd, 23rd. So come if you can. But hey.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. James. Good job.
Congratulations.
Maybe Tom, maybe y'all can brainstorm a little bit on how to bridge that track over there at Richwood. Get some heavy equipment on it without tearing it up. Challenge them a little bit.
We can put them to work, couldn't we?
Yeah. Put the minds to work anyway.
Okay, Ms. Kim, do we have any delegations? Okay, number 8, discussion, presentation. Mr. Charlie Lau.
Good evening, board members, people in Nicholas County. I'm a member of Summersville Masonic Lodge, and I'm representing the Grand Lodge of West Virginia, which I'm a past Grand Master of. And the only time that you see a Masonic fraternity in their regalia outside of a lodge room is for a funeral or a cornerstone. I'm not here to bury anyone. So I'll talk to you a little bit about the cornerstone or cornerstones. However many you have to lay, we would really love to do. The cornerstones, we provide the cornerstones and the casket that goes in them. You can have whatever you want to put in the casket that goes in the cornerstone. This is not a time capsule. This is a cornerstone that stays with the building until it is raised, until it is torn down. And then it comes back to the Masonic Lodge. And we have a ceremony for opening it. Hopefully, I don't think there's probably anybody in here who would see it open, but the one in the main building, the main there, was laid in 1913, and I think the last 2 stones that were laid in Summersville, cornerstones, were from the Masonic Lodge building in 1956, and the Methodist Church, and I think it was in 56 or 57, I'm not sure which. But the cornerstones, as I say, we would provide those, and at our expense, and that way the cornerstone retains, the Grand Lodge retains it. So I provided Kim with 2 or 3 ceremonies that we've had, just to give her an idea of what goes along with it. You can have many speakers, board members, county officials. It's your choice to, if you want to have the cornerstone, we would be glad to have it. Is there anything you can think of you want to ask? Any questions? We cannot lay the cornerstone if the wall is higher than what the cornerstone would be. We can lay a cornerstone before the building is even started. We can lay a cornerstone in just on site, and then when the building starts, then the contractor can put the stone in place. Ours is a ceremony to symbolize what it would be.
Dave, do you have anything on that?
No, we do them all the time.
Do them all the time.
Northeast corner.
Northeast corner. Northeast corner.
You could do it at any time. He's exactly correct. You could do it at any time, and then once the contractor starts, we can pick a corner ahead of time, and the contractor can actually move the stone and lay it accordingly with the masons on site.
Or you could put it in without us even being there.
Right.
Well, this is our architect on the line. Glad to meet you. The ceremony itself, you know, it's just, it's all done by memory, and it's a pretty unique ceremony.
Well, what we will do, we will put this on a future board meeting. It's not a vote item tonight. And then on that agenda, they would discuss it and make a decision if they want to pursue it or not. And of course, we would let you know in advance when that meeting is going to be, so you can be here.
Okay.
To hear the discussion and answer any questions that may have.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr.
Okay, number 9, action items. Discussion with possible action on the request made by Mrs. Glasscock with Laurel Creek Hardwoods. And I'm going to step out.
I've asked Dave Ferguson to join us today. I knew he was going to be here. We talked a little bit about this today, about discussing what costs may be to the board. And the reason Mr. Prine is stepping out is because Sharon Glasscock is his sister. And so to avoid any kind of issue with the relationship they have, he's decided to recuse himself from this discussion. So Dave talked to us a little bit about what issues we would have as a board, what costs we would have to entail.
Okay, the issues that are going to come up, depending on how I think the current access is right as you enter the school site to the left. And the issues that will come up will be, you have to modify the retaining wall, number one. You have to modify the drainage swale that's on your property at the side of the retaining wall. We'll have to revise the road access in and out of the site to accommodate access to the adjacent property. And of course, we'll have some fencing modifications, but the bigger issue, as we see it, is the work would become outside the current LOD. And that's going to be a problem with FEMA. We'd have to revise the LOD.
I'm sorry, Dave. LOD.
Limits of disturbance.
Limits of disturbance.
Once that was established 7 years ago, we've not been able to modify that at all. Even, the only work that I know we've done outside the LOD was we had to do some drainage swales to the river, and FEMA finally understood what we were trying to do with the drainage. We put some riprap, rock line ditches to the river to slow the water down before it got to the river. But one of the other issues that it's going to be difficult to navigate is if we do this at all, we would also be doing work outside your property line. You can't just take it to your property and stop it. We would have to do something to modify grades to make that work. It's always a touchy subject when boards of education try to modify things that are off-site. Whether it be a water line or anything else, it's a very touchy situation. In this case, we would have to deal with FEMA as well as School Building Authority and get everybody's approval to do that. But every time we've tried to modify the limits of disturbance, the LOD, we've had issues. FEMA does not want the contractor or anybody to cross that limits of disturbance. On Cherry River, it was established a long time ago.
Let me ask you a question. If you did get permission, you did go off-site, would it all be on Ms. Glasscock's property or?
No, it would be on our property too. We'd have to modify.
Well, I know we'd have to do it on our property. What I'm saying is when you went off our property.
It'd just be on hers.
Just on hers, nobody else.
Yeah, we want to, I don't want to do any state right away or
Yeah.
anything like that. But it could get quite expensive once we start modifying retaining walls and the drainage swale in the roadway.
Aren't the walls finished now? Isn't that wall finished? Looks like it's complete.
Is that wall finished up at the top?
It's not up to there.
That's
It's not up to there.
Yeah, it doesn't come up to the gate.
It doesn't come up to the gate, but where we would be, we would have to modify the grades enough to modify the end of that wall. It doesn't come all the way up to the end of the property line, but it would have to be modified if we modified the drainage swale and the grades to line up with the adjacent property.
Did she modify hers on her side?
We'd have to modify a little bit of her property as well. I don't know how it currently looks, I haven't been there for a while, but it does, if it's.
It drops down pretty quick, but I think that would be on her, that would be, I would think, since it's her property.
Yeah, but if they're gonna come in on our property to get to her property, that's the area we have to modify.
I don't know. I've looked at it several times. It looks like she could get in there without getting on us. What do you think, Rick?
She'd have to go across ours.
Huh?
She'd have to go across us right there.
Have to?
How far into that, you drop pretty quick, you start dropping down.
Yeah, after you get to.
How far is it when you start to have to turn off her property? Almost immediately?
Yeah.
Pretty close,
Yeah. So we'd have to modify that entrance there a little bit because you're right at the exit.
See, they just put a concrete tank or something right there almost in it this week, so.
Now, let me ask you a question. I know architects don't like to guess.
Well, I would say we're in it for about $500,000 at least. But that's not knowing because we haven't done a final set of drawings for the contractor to even price. And here again, if he's finished that wall and he has to modify it, he's going to charge us a little bit more normal than he would have before he even started.
That's assuming the thing will give us permission to do it.
Yeah, that's assuming that big if right there.
Can't imagine.
Is there any way that she can access her property off the main road that would work?
That wall don't even come close to where her gate's at. I mean, it's.
I'm more worried about once we start revising, because there's a drainage swale there, we'd have to culvert that and then modify those grades, and I don't know if we might not even touch the wall.
Yeah, but as long as it's on her and not us, then she can do whatever she needs to access that.
So most of it's just, they're walking down with a chainsaw, they're not even taking a truck down there. I mean, it's nothing that they don't take trucks down there.
Oh, I thought she said that before.
They might pick up right there in the wide spot and carry the saw down there.
I don't think you can get a truck over that bank, could you? He might get it over, couldn't get back up.
They're not big, just a pickup truck.
So it's just pedestrian vehicles.
Yeah, it's nothing big.
I mean, that's just a guess on the cost, but I'm more worried about the LOD than I am anything.
And we've been lucky what we've gotten from FEMA lately anyway.
Yes. Very fortunate.
Yeah. You guys got any more questions?
We want to try to take care of her, but she does a lot for the community.
Is there anything, you think we could deal with, I know if we deal with a lot of contractors on site is one thing. Is there anything we could wait to deal with this after?
I'm sure.
I mean, can she wait that long? I mean,
Yeah, but she just makes sure she has access there.
I don't see why you couldn't give her access after the fact. I just don't want to create a problem during construction with FEMA or the contractor, where we're creating something that would cause FEMA to raise a red flag.
It sounds like a good idea.
Well, this board agenda item was placed on the last board agenda. We tabled it until tonight.
Right.
So we'll need to either reject, I'm not saying she can't come back at a later time.
Correct.
Or accept it and approve it. So I think we're going to have to do that, or Ms. White, so I'm going to ask for your expertise as a fellow superintendent. Can we just simply let it die on the agenda without a motion?
You tabled it on the last board meeting, so you need to do some type of action at this board meeting.
That's what
I mean, you can, somebody can make a motion and it can die for lack of second,
True.
which makes it die, but then it would be reflected in the minutes that you took action.
Well, let me ask, we didn't make a motion. So if we don't make a motion, then can it not be postponed? Can we not postpone the item? We did not make a motion. I know if we made a motion that, then it has to be acted on.
I think you tabled it though at the last
We
meeting.
did officially table it. That's
You
what we did.
officially tabled it.
We officially tabled it instead of postponing it.
Yeah, we did. So, you know, she made a good suggestion there. Of course, I'm going to tell the board how to vote. But you can, somebody can make a motion, and if it's not seconded, it dies on its own because it didn't get a second. Or you can, somebody can second it, and you vote whichever way you want to vote. You're going to have 4 people to vote. And if it's a tie, it dies. If it's 3-1, it passes, or whatever. That's something the board will have to do. So, as the vice president of the board, you have to ask for a motion on this agenda.
Could you make the motion to include bringing it back at a later date? Does motion include that or not?
His motion could be to make a motion to whatever you decide you want to make a motion on, and say, but, you know, giving them the right to bring it back at a later date if they choose. Not to exclude, because then you're saying they can't bring it back, but you can't do that legally anyway. So you could make it, if somebody makes a motion, say, make a motion that we deny this request at the current time with the possibility of bringing it back in the future, we get, you know, further down the road on this construction. Something along those lines. That way you're not saying, no, we're not going to do anything, but you're saying, well, no, we're not going to do anything right now.
We're going to wait and see.
Dave, how long will it be before the line of disturbance actually expires, for lack of a better word?
When you're done, when you're final completion.
Of the Glade Creek project? Of the total, I know we're talking about Cherry River, but I'm talking about the total.
Sure.
We have one agreement with FEMA, but they are separate in a way, so that it would be.
They're separate projects, so you have different LODs
Okay,
in each one.
that's what I was asking.
2 years.
Well, are we open for that motion? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I can investigate that a little bit if you want me to quietly, without raising too many red flags.
Yeah, we don't want to give them too many.
Right.
I would just say, bring it up and with no second, it just kind of lays there. It could still be brought up later. I mean, that's kind of the cleanest way to do it.
Somebody gonna make the motion to accept it and dies at the second, or somebody gonna make the motion to reject it and it dies at the second?
Either way. It would work either way.
But I'd like to include the possibility that it will be considered at a later time. So I will make that motion.
To accept
That temporarily we have to reject it, but we will reconsider this at a later time when we have more information as the project proceeds. Is there a second? That's the way my motions always happen. 4 years and I've never had a second. Thank you for bringing back memories.
She goes reflecting in the
The motion dies for lack of a second.
There you go. Can we bring Mr. Brown back now?
Hey, I had a question. We had one of the old doors out of Richmond High School. I'd say it's barred, COVID, everything, but they was wanting to, excuse me, auction it off for a fundraiser, but put back in the school.
Does it have a tag on it?
Should.
Look and see if it has a tag. It should have a rating on it.
Okay, see what the rating is?
Yeah. And just let me know the size of the door, we'll figure it out.
Well, I mean, that was going to be a fundraiser.
Okay.
A young lady that has cancer, so they auctioned off, put back in that school.
Okay, I'll figure it out, just let me know what size it is, and if it has a tag of any kind, say that, take a picture of it, and let me send that.
Is that the one that's in memory of the child?
No.
There's also one that's in memory of the child that has been removed, and hopefully.
We can figure it out.
That was just something that they thought would be big.
Okay, well, we can figure it out.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you, I appreciate you coming.
Talk to y'all soon.
Be careful.
You don't have to leave.
Yeah, we got a lot
I
of.
know you're having fun.
I'm really hungry.
Okay, action item B, discussion with possible action on adopting the superintendent's goals for the 2023-24 school year.
I sent out an email to all the board members and asked if they had any particular goals they'd like for me to seek. I didn't get a response to that. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I came up with 2 goals, and I'm just going to read them for the public so they can hear the goals also. The first one is to open lines of communication between the superintendent's office and both the schools and the community. I intend to do this by being very visible in the schools on a weekly basis, attending community functions, meeting with civic groups when invited, and providing updates via the media both locally and statewide. That's my first goal. The second goal is to address our academic concerns in specific areas of ELA and math. I want to encourage specific staff development training to the teachers of ELA and math on a regular basis, provided by the directors of elementary and secondary education. I want to allow the ELA and math teachers to be permitted to attend director-approved workshops outside of our school system, visit other schools that have been academically more successful in those areas, and provide additional resources that enable our teachers to lead more effective teaching strategies. And those are my 2 goals. I'll be glad to change them, add to them, whatever you all choose.
For the record, I don't think I got an email. I looked just now. Did y'all get email?
I didn't see it, but I haven't been.
I just now looked on my phone. It's not that big a deal. I mean, I just letting you know. I would have responded one way or other. I might not have a comment, but I don't think I saw an email.
We usually answer my emails when I see them.
Yeah. Of course, it could have gone somewhere, and I think they're worthwhile goals. I mean, and I'm a big believer in, instead of setting a bunch of goals, you set, some that's attainable and something to work for and the team to work for. It would be awesome if they could do that. We definitely need the English, language and arts and the math. I mean, that's where the state system scores.
A lot of good ideas there.
And I like I like being presence in the schools too. I think that's very, very important.
Yeah, he sounds one.
What do you do? That's my old email. No, I haven't checked.
How long ago did you send those?
Last week.
I'll go back.
I think it was Friday I sent them.
Well, I couldn't have it, because I haven't kept up with my emails.
I look at mine.
James Dot Ferguson at K-12.
No, see, that's my education. I go by Ferguson Services.
That's what he said.
I never look at the K-12, so that's
why.
Okay. So we're both right.
Yeah, I didn't like
You did send it, and I didn't see it. So
Did you send it to
I worked too, I never looked at K-12.
He sent it to your K-12.
Oh, that's what I said.
Okay, yeah.
I'll have to start.
We need to leak those off there, and so they're not close.
He sent it to your K-12.
All right.
Okay,
I sent it.
well, anyway,
No, but I think they're, like I said, I like goals that's attainable, and I like goals that, from a business standpoint, what we always do is try to find, something you attain, and those are definitely worthwhile goals, and they will take a lot of work to just achieve that.
anybody wanting to add a goal or discuss another goal? Are we good with what he presented? Okay, do we have a motion to accept the superintendent's goals that were presented to us for the 2023-24 school year.
So moved.
Mr. Ferguson makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Berry. He beat you. All in favor? Aye. Okay, consent items. Finance.
Okay, first is payment of current invoices, which were sent to you in your packet.
Kristen, on the second page, I believe it is, the library donations, they all are going to Craigsville.
No, every year, through the levy, each of our 3 libraries
Right.
has an allotment of $20,000. And so I believe it was Craigsville. They, maybe they have a new person that is running the library and they didn't know that they needed to request the funds from us. So I think we might have sent them, we sent them their allocation for a couple of our years of levy, which they hadn't asked for before.
Oh, so that was making up for past years?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
You know, it looks like on footnotes there, 21 through 23,
Oh, yes.
22 through 23,
I see that
20
now.
23 through 24.
So it'd be
I saw-
21, 22, right? 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24. Okay.
Right, so they're caught up now.
Are the other ones, Richwood and
Yeah.
Somersville, they're taken care of, right?
Right, yes, they are.
Yeah, Tom's still here. I've got to ask what a bovine injection, what is it? Where is it? It's on, these pages are all numbered 1, so.
Sounds like an ag simulator.
What is it, Tom?
It's an agricultural simulator that students use to practice vaccinations.
Oh, you have VOAG at the?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Now, were you able to purchase that, the nursing
Yes, it's purchased in.
AI model or whatever?
Yeah, it's on
It's
here.
not hooked up yet, so.
Okay. I know we talked about that for a couple of years.
Yes.
Any other comments on the payment of current invoices?
Okay, next, we have contracts. We have a facilities rental agreement with St. Luke's in Craigsville. That is very similar to what you have signed in previous years. I believe Richwood Middle School and Richwood High School are utilizing that facility for practices.
Chris, I can't remember, I noticed that's $40 an hour. Is that what we changed our board policy to? I can't remember. Was it 40?
Yeah, I think so.
Honestly, I'm not sure about that.
I think it is. I think we made a match.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where that number came from. was
Oh,
St.
okay.
Luke's, yes.
Okay, I
That's
just-
where,
I couldn't
that's where the
remember.
number came from, was from St. Luke's, yes.
Makes
And
sense.
that's FEMA reimbursed, correct?
Yes.
How much is that, 700 a month? What?
40 an hour.
It's 40 an hour.
Oh,
based on the
okay.
use. That's what it says on the second page.
But it's throughout the year.
For
Basketball.
practice, softball
baseball,
practice.
Yeah, okay, okay.
I think maybe they were going to maybe use it this year, also this year. I think that he put something else in there that they had asked for that as well this year. But yeah, same price as it has been before, and we've been doing that contract with them for many years.
And then, of course, they have special activities there, right? Correct?
They said sometimes they are restricting our use because they had something maybe on the last Friday of the month, and then they're not having that anymore. So, so it should be available to our teams to practice in even more than it was before.
Well, what I was saying was, if the school wants to have a band activities, school dances,
yes.
that type of stuff, awards day, yeah.
Yes, yeah, they would just, the school would schedule that with St. Luke's. And then,
Yeah, they use
also-
that sometimes for the vocational, the CTE.
Graduation, yeah.
Yeah, activities there also.
and then, yeah, the school or the organization would be responsible for cleaning up after.
I think they say if you use the kitchen, you pay $50 or refuse. Okay.
And then another contract we have is for Appalachian Office Products for Nicholas County High School. That was attached as well. In addition to those, we have 2 bids for photography for Gauley River Elementary. They are wanting to go with TSS Photography, and for Cherry River, Life Touch Photography.
Any questions on those?
And then after that, we have out-of-state travel requests. Valley River, Emily Pryor and Ashley Gladwell to go to an Elevate 2024 conference in Nashville. And Douglas County High School Band taking 80 students to Splash Country in Dollywood in May of '24.
Any questions?
Getting them in early.
Yeah.
June, July.
It must be hard to schedule, get in there.
Cheaper rates too.
Beat the rush, huh?
Okay, so listen carefully, please. So do we have a motion to accept consent items, finance 1, 2, and 3, out-of-state travel request number 2? Do we have a motion for those? And the reason I'm leaving one out is because that's my niece, so I need to stay out of that.
I'll make that one.
Not for a niece?
If it's immediate family, they want to carry value to you.
Okay. Then we'll include them all, sorry. Finance 1, 2, 3, A and B under each of those, and then out-of-state travel requests 1 and 2. Do we have a motion to accept those?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Moose makes a motion, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Berry. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Personnel.
Actually, it needs to get a little shorter.
Good evening. It is getting shorter. We have several, the strike-throughs that we will be reposting.
And of course, we repost those because we didn't get any applicants, correct?
That's correct. For any certified applicants.
Right.
Yes.
If we want discussion on any personnel, do we do the executive session before or after?
Before you vote on it.
Before, right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to move to executive session
Okay,
to discuss personnel.
okay, do we have a second? Second by Mr. Green. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
We leave.
Okay, do we have a motion to come out of the executive session?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Berry makes a motion, second by Mr. Ferguson. All in favor? At 6:28. And there were no decisions made in the executive session. Okay, the rest of the personnel.
Okay, if you will see on page 3, Robin Bailey, employed in the position of long-term at Ridgewood Middle School. Jennifer Foreman, employed in the long-term English at Summersville Middle School. Job number 8701, that's going to be reposted. Employment in the position of parent coordinator at Birch River Elementary, Robert Summers. Employment in the position of TSS girls basketball coach at Richwood High School, Dave Henderson. Employed in the position of TSS cheer coach at Nicholas County High School, Caitlin Payat. Employment of the TSS wrestling coach is going to be reposted. Employment of the TSS wrestling coach at Nicholas County High School, Sam Stewart. We had 2 additions to the substitute teachers, Robert Summers and Alexander Hall. Under service, employment in the position of ECAT 1 at Glade Creek Elementary, Kendall Stearns. Employment in the position of multi-classified special education aide at Summersville Elementary School, April Coleman. Employment in the position of multi-classified aide at Golly River Elementary, Justin Bird. Employed in the position of custodian 3 at Golly River Elementary, Lori Colvin. And then after-school tutors, Jordan Harper and Madison Sims. And then we have a couple rescinding for intervention. They were not certified for those positions. Patricia Mazzola and Dawn Smith resigns as custodian 3 at Zila effective September 18th.
What was TSS on those positions?
Temporary support staff, I think.
Okay, it's temporary.
I think that's what it's.
Yeah.
Any discussion on the personnel? Do we have a motion to accept personnel as presented?
So moved.
Mr. Moose makes a motion, seconded by Mr. Ferguson. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, reports. Thank you. Reports, SESC, Mr. Ferguson.
Nothing to report. We meet Wednesday, this Wednesday.
Okay. Bright Horizons, Mr. Green.
Nothing right now, we meet on Thursday.
Okay. And at this time, I'm going to ask to go into executive session once again for a property issue. So I'm going to make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Moose. All in favor? Aye. At 6:32. Okay, do we have a motion to come out of the executive session?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
So Mr. Berry made the motion, second by Mr. Moose. All in favor? At 6:38. No decisions were made. And so, number 13, items for future agendas.
What is the plan going to be? We finished our public meetings, are we going to try to have a work session?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Here in just a
I
minute.
got ahead of myself.
Oh, no, you're fine.
The only other thing I thought about is that cornerstone discussion. When you wanted to schedule that, it doesn't have to be immediate, obviously, it's gonna be a while before we're ready for it. But,
I think, if I can say, I think it's gonna take a while to plan
Sure,
that the way that.
sure. It's
Yeah,
a
It's a
big
we
deal.
need
pretty big deal.
We need to decide.
So if we decide now, we can have it planned to maybe do it in the spring, like when the weather breaks, because now it'd probably be muddy mess up there. or both
I was
places.
asking him, what did they represent? I mean, what connections does that group have with? I wonder why they haven't put in Cornerstone.
I think it's a thing that's in history, it's a history thing, I think. Every building, like all of the schools, probably Richwood, I think they may, I don't know if they even salvaged the one from Richwood High School, do you know?
Seems like he's been here before.
He's been.
He was back,
He
he was back with the old board, but he came back in, he's been in multiple times, and I've got lots of notes, and he's really dedicated to what it is that he does, you know.
He is.
And I think it's kind of a, I don't know if it's a religious thing. I think it's is it kind of like the Knights of Columbus?
The Masonic Lodge, the Masons, is well, they support the Shriners Hospital and stuff too. So I don't know if
So
it's
can we
Masonic.
put that on the agenda? Okay, so we're gonna need a special work session to decide on which option we want to go with. Okay, and so
After September 30th.
after September 30th.
Yeah.
And probably after October 2nd. The regular meeting's October 2nd.
Right.
So sometime that week, you know, we don't want to drag, we want to move along as fast as we can. So we probably need to have a work session, so could we include that on the work session?
As long as it's on the agenda.
Okay, so, Mr. Green's gonna be out of town
For both of those.
for, yeah, but,
I'll call in or you get a message.
You're out both meetings, is that what you said?
I'll be in
October?
Wyoming. And I'll leave, I'll be here for the October 2nd in the work session.
Oh, okay, but then after that one.
Yeah, but I'll phone in.
Okay.
so,
We'll be on the second, it's regular, it's every month.
Yeah, that's a regular.
regular meeting, 6 o'clock, so sometime after that, when do y'all wanna have a work session? Mr. Moose has a pretty busy schedule, are you busy the 3rd or the 4th?
No, just the 6th. Yeah, I'm okay, 3, 4, 5.
Mr. Bean can't make the 5th. 3rd or 4th works for me. Does it work for you, Mr. Berry?
It should.
Can you call in at 9 o'clock if we do it at 9 o'clock?
It'll be 7 there.
He can do it.
Mule deer's up and stirred.
I was gonna say, you going hungry?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Be better off in the afternoon, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but it'll be all right. That's important, so.
I think we have to have all of you, don't we, for that meeting, like one way or the other?
Work session?
No, like for the picking of the school?
It would be best.
I'll be on that one. I'll be on both of them, but
Unless you got something in your slot.
I'll be in John's
So,
office.
you want to do it 3rd at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Be 7 there.
Third
You could
time.
do it at 11 here, and that way it'd be 9 out there.
You probably would rather do it earlier, wouldn't you? I mean,
It don't matter.
okay. Let's go with Tuesday, October 3rd at 9 o'clock. And so Kim
Work session.
will include the Masonic
Okay.
decision on that.
And that's going to be a work session on picking the schools.
she'll get it, one time, so they gave it to me now.
That don't work.
On the third? Yeah, you can.
Are we all in agreement that on the 3rd, we need to make a decision?
Are we, in the work session, are we having the architects there or not? We have any questions of them?
I don't see things.
Well, I mean, I don't care what, we may not even need them, I don't know.
What time did you?
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying too. So,
Yeah. So, yeah, we're gonna make a decision, discussion.
Possible action. Is that the
Always say
wording?
possible, always say possible action instead of just action, because then you've made yourself make a decision.
Right.
You don't know what's going to happen with these things.
Okay.
On
So
choosing
work
the
session.
option to present the FEMA.
well, and that's Tuesday, the 3rd, at 9 o'clock.
I mean, that's about the comment period ends on the 30th. I mean, we want to get rolling. I mean, we want to,
Possible action.
Let me ask you this, from a logistics standpoint, if it ends on the 30th, right, the comment period, how much time does the lawyer need to get responses back to the people? And should that be done before we have a vote? Because doesn't she have to respond?
she has to respond, but the ultimate decision's left up to us.
Yeah, I know that. I just want the sequence to be right.
Let me call Marissa tomorrow.
We'll make sure.
I mean, she could start responding now because we've got all the comments. We've had the 2 open meetings, right? So she can
Ask her
start
if she
now.
needs to make all the comments before we meet, but
Is she on maternity leave yet, or
Yeah,
just?
she can answer the phone. She told me she could. She said, I can't come, but I can talk.
Or that other
Okay.
attorney that came up here, her assistant.
I didn't know she had.
I just want to make sure we get the proper sequence, Chip. That's all I'm trying to figure out.
You good?
yeah, same as. Okay, so, future meeting dates, Monday, October 2nd at the board office, starting at 6. Work session, we still want to call it a work session? Work session, October 3rd at 9 o'clock here at the board office, and then October 16th, regular meeting at 6 o'clock.
I may check with the attorneys and make sure we can call a work session. We have to call a special.
Well,
Or what?
We'll check.
we'll see if
I'll
we need to
check
call
with
it work
Jason.
session or specials.
Oh,
We
okay.
have to call a special meeting.
Okay.
Well, either way, doesn't that fall under a special?
Probably, but we could still delineate between the work session and the special meeting, have it on the same thing, just like we did here tonight.
Yeah.
You can do both.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Ferguson makes a motion to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Berry. All in favor? Aye. At 6:46.